go to nrma.com.au/helpnation. NRMA Insurance, a health company.
Economy. So we've got this mismatch. A lot of people doing what I did and did humanities and go and get a media degree, even though there's not many jobs. But where their jobs are going to be, and high-paying, good-paying jobs, well-paying jobs, the students aren't taking the requisite subjects at school to begin that journey through higher education. So, I guess to almost borrow from Trump's lexicon here, how do we make maths and science sexy again for the school-age children? Well, I don't know, but Adam Spencer probably does. Adam, of course, the original ambassador for maths and science at the University of Sydney. I thought we'd turn to him. I mean, who else? He's on the line. Adam, nice to speak again.
Yeah, lovely to speak with you too, mate. It's an important issue. You don't need to have done higher maths to be concerned by some of those figures, especially given, as I like to say, mathematicians will build this century, this era we're leaning into of artificial intelligence and analytics and computing and coding, let alone just the general skills that can help in so many other occupations. This country needs more and more really good top-level mathematicians coming out of high school.
Well, this is it. The future looks pretty straightforward. I mean, there's always going to be curveballs in the economy, but we're going to have a boom in the caring sector as people get older, but they've got some capital in super, so they're going to want a higher standard of care. You're going to need manpower to deliver that. But on the other side, as you say, it's all around computing, it's all around physics, it's all around pushing the boundaries in the digital space, and that's got very little to do with writing essays. That's got a lot to do with numbers and science.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, essays are beautiful things. I love a good song or a movie as much as anyone, but if a kid has the choice, if a kid has the ability to do higher level maths, we want them taught by people with a passion for the subject, and we want them to consider going into it. The problems here are manifest. One of them is this phenomenon we're seeing these days of a lot of kids who could do what a lot of your listeners might remember as the old 3 unit, or maybe even 4 unit, those higher levels of maths, and they're being convinced, go for the lower ones because you'll probably get scaled up more, you'll probably get a better ATAR. It's not even guaranteed that that's the fact, but we need kids to be pushing themselves into the best level possible. You don't all need to get 200 out of 200 in the old 4-unit exam or anything like that. But if you've got the skills as a young boy or a young girl where you could consider a degree in engineering or working in computer science or something that involves higher maths, we need more kids making those decisions.
We've got a chief scientist, it's Kathy Foley, and she made the point that there's this knock-on effect because if you don't have enough students in science and maths courses, we don't or won't have the workforce, as you've been saying, to realise opportunities in biotech and quantum industries. I mean, some of these things seem a little intangible to young minds, I suppose, but there's a role here, is there not, for parents, even if they didn't go through the higher education system doing maths and science, to say, listen, you want a pretty good paying job in the future and you almost want a guaranteed job. What about studying these instead of, I don't know, maybe drama or geography? Why don't you go and have a look at these?
Yeah, and I think it goes right back to the young ages. I say when it comes to getting young girls in love with maths, mums play a really important role. Young girls think that mum is just the ultimate person in the world until they turn about 14 and things go a bit weird, but they think mum is amazing, right? If mum says to her daughter at the age of 7, maths, I was terrible at maths, go and ask your father. She's effectively saying to her daughter, you can be as awesome as your own mum and be terrible at maths. Girls don't have to do it. Mums need to hang in there, even if by their fingernails, even if what they're saying is, that's a great question, let's answer it after dinner, and running off to the internet or a book or something like that. Stay involved in that process for as long as possible. And we need kids who early on show a little bit of real aptitude, have a pathway at their school. They need primary school teachers who love the subject. They need schools that offer a little bit of extension for kids who are going well. And the trap we really have to avoid is some of the concerning figures we see that suggest in years 7 through to 10, those formative years when you're really laying down the bedrock for higher mathematics, up to 40% of kids are being taught by someone who's not qualified to teach the subject. And I feel so sorry for teachers who are out of specialty area being forced to teach mathematics. I say, give me your child, make me your child's French tutor, and mate, in 6 months, I'll give you a kid who's woeful at French, because I'm just not qualified to teach it. And the old cliche of the PE teacher who's got the busted knee at the moment, so he's up the front saying, okay, today we're doing pages 36 and 37. He's terrified. He knows that he's one smart question from Sarah away from the game being completely up. Kids can smell that fear, and it just permeates the class. We need a new generation of engineers, etc., but also kids who are good at maths and love it, who then go into teaching degrees and think, okay, I'm going to pass on my passion for this subject to kids from the youngest of ages.
It's part of the problem there. I'm glad you've highlighted this. I mean, it's one thing to say we've got a deficit of students taking this up, but you're quite right. We clearly have a deficit of specialist teachers in these areas, particularly the advanced aspects of maths and science. And so, it's sort of a downward spiral. You put those two things together. But there's part of the problem here that those that do go on and pursue it are offered generally very good paying jobs in some of these emerging sectors of the economy. So they say, well, hang on, why would I go and do teaching for half the rate?
Yeah, we need to value teachers more, we need to pay teachers more, but we need to be innovative as well. At my daughter's primary school, when they were growing up, I'd go in there in the afternoons one day a week and take a little maths extension group for the kids who like it, just to spark their minds and make them think about higher levels. We need people maybe who have finished their lives as engineers or physicists or something, having a pathway to local primary schools where they can excite kids on these sort of things and maybe get someone early on to fall in love with the subject. It needs to be a multi-pronged approach. You can't just wait for another report to go and go, gee, that's not a very good result. What can we do in the next 3 months? If you look at when Finland completely reinvented their education system, it might take a decade, it might take more, but if you get it right, it pays off in so many ways.
Okay, now let me ask you this, because I was a humanities student, but I persisted with maths. I remember, I've got a vivid memory of doing the 3-unit course in year 11, and I was told you do that. This is the old trick in the day. You do that in year 11 because then you drop down to 2-unit advanced in year 12, and you basically cover a lot of what you did in year 11 in 3 units, so you get a sort of a reinforcement. And by and large, that was right. It was the 2 units that didn't count on stress, but I passed. But the thing I found, Adam, is it's the aha moment, if I can call it that, the aha moment in maths. When you get it, it's a wonderful feeling, but there's no fudging. It's either right or wrong. Is that a bit of the barrier here?
It is. I mean, for me, that was the beauty, just cracking a tough question and just going, yes, I got it. I still love that. The challenge for some kids is if you get it wrong, you are wrong. And those big red crosses and those 7 out of 20 can crush you a little bit. And the other challenge is that, I've often said you could go to a humanities-based school and so that taught history every year. On the first day of year 7, you can say, I just don't really like history that much. But I think at the beginning of year 11, if you said, now you know what, I'm going to give history an absolute crack here. No disrespect to history as a subject, but I think you can get pretty close to the same mark by really trying your hardest for 18 months, 2 years in history. And if you've done it all the way through high school, you can't do that with maths. It's an incremental learning experience. You only need one bad teacher. You only need one semester where you don't get it. You only need to fall behind once, and you're struggling to keep up ever again. And that's where that teaching quality comes in, and that's where the teacher having a passion and the kids being interested enough to stay on top of the subject really matters. It's so hard when you see kids who've missed out on the basics, maybe in 4th grade, 5th grade, trying to get back in front of the game in year 7, year 8. It's a constant incremental approach. But if we get that right and get the kids in our society who love maths just staying in there a little bit longer, we will all benefit from it.
Well, speaking with Adam Spencer, one last one, Adam, if I could, and that is the opening question again. How do we make maths and science sexy for the teenage mind? I mean, this might sound ridiculous, but a lot of them, like it or not, are influenced by influential
look at the stories that impact you and your finances. So join me for Money News Monday to Thursday from 7 on 2GB.
You know, there's never been a better time to stop the rats and the mice from invading your home or your workplace. You can stop them in their tracks. You do it with Pestrol rodent-free. There are no ongoing refills. It won't affect electrical appliances and uses multiple technologies that cover walls, ceilings and open spaces. Now, it's safe around your family and pets. It's environmentally friendly. It's chemical-free. Pestrol rodent-free. Comes with a 2-year warranty and it comes with a 100-day money-back guarantee. No traps, no mess. Just plug it in for 24/7 protection. And now is the perfect time to order because it's usually $119. But for the first 30 callers, you're only going to pay $99 and receive free delivery. Call now 1-800-33888 and don't forget, use the code RAT.
Caravan mattresses custom made or marine mattresses or mattresses made to any size or shape. Rockall Mattress Factory has been making mattresses direct to public since 1939. 56 Fairfield Road, Petstow.
The legendary figure skating duo return for their last ever Australian tour. Our Last Dance. New show now added Sunday, June 22 at Kudos Bank Arena. Get tickets at the special price of $85 with code Torvalentine. On sale now at Ticketek. Tour details at tugdating.com.
Hello, I'm Ida Truth. Age doesn't stop me from living life to the fullest. And unfortunately, age doesn't stop RSV either. Respiratory syncytial virus is not just a childhood illness. Adults can catch it throughout their lives. It's contagious and can be easily spread. Although often mild, RSV infection can be serious in older adults. To learn more about RSV, talk to your doctor today.
Sponsored by GlaxoSmithKline Australia Proprietary Limited, Melbourne.
Meerkat Motivationals with Alexander and Sergey.
Hey, Pippa, taking your blood pressure?
Yes, good to keep it in check.
Same goes for health insurance. Check to see if you can get the same cover for less.
Same for less. Really?
Keep your finger on the pulse, Pippa. Right up to less.
Right. And then continue straight on.
Switching health insurance is easy. Visit Compare the Market to see the range of brands of products we compare. Or call 137336. Simples.
The party starts in 4 hours and we still need snacks, a birthday card, decorations. Plus we need to pick up the lotto.
Honey, relax. I've got it.
We don't have time to visit 4 different stores.
What do you mean? We only need one.
Double Bay News Agency is your lotto destination. Loved by locals, it's your one-stop neighbourhood shop for lotto. Snacks, magazines, gifts, printing and more. Find it all at Double Bay News Agency, 390 New South Head Road.
Afternoons on 2GB for designer quality blinds at factory prices. Call the Blind Factory on 13 Blinds today for their spring sale. Don't miss out. This news for Garlo's Pies in Hot Coals, Woolworths and selected IGA stores. Garlo's Pies, thin on pastry, big on meat.
Okay, let's go to the news here and Mark.
Go straight on.
Good afternoon, Michael. Economists are divided as to whether an improvement in Australia's
And then
inflation
continue
rate could
straight
lead
on.
to an interest rate cut this year. Inflation is now
Go
within
straight
the
on.
Reserve Bank's target range. The National Anti-Corruption Commissioner Paul Brereton has been formally rebuked over the agency's original decision not to investigate officials involved in the disastrous robo-debt scheme. Lebanese armed group Hezbollah has named Naim Qassem as its new leader, replacing Hassan Nasrallah, who was killed in an Israeli strike last month. And customers at ING have been unable to make payments. There have been more than 1,000 complaints about the outage. In sport, the Diamonds will be out to avoid an embarrassing clean sweep against the Silver Ferns tonight in Melbourne. New Zealand leads the 4-game Constellation Cup Series 3-0. And there'll be more news at 2 o'clock.
On afternoons, a weather update.
We'll be here to help in unexpected weather. NRMA Insurance, a help company.
Yeah, warm in some places today. Top 25 in the city and mostly sunny for Sydney. Up to 31 for Penrith and Richmond today. Parramatta 28, Campbelltown 29, Bondi a different at just 22. Now, tomorrow for Sydney is a sunny morning, but then a shower or 2 on the way, maybe 5 mil, the top of 25. 23 with another shower or 2 expected on Friday. Canberra today, g'day through 2CC, sunny and 27. Tuggeranong is the same. Partly cloudy and 25 tomorrow. A bit of cloud lingering on Friday. Friday is, of course, November 1. a top of 23. Lithgow, cloud clearing today, 24. 28 for Mudgee, though. 29 at Springwood. Wow. Katoomba, 25. A possible shower tomorrow for Lithgow, top of 24. A shower or two again on Friday, just 21. In fact, down to 19 on Saturday, they reckon. So still not that warm in some places, is it? 131873. Blake Witt coming up in just a moment. Got the questions ready for Blake. G'day there, Mark.
Oh, hi, Michael. How are you?
Well, thank you. Hope you are too.
Yes. Well, I had a son at school. He was I'll just say he was a difficult child at school. But he got into engineering at university, and basically it came down to, before he left school, his parents were saying, listen, don't bother with engineering, you won't be able to handle it. And there was a lot of feedback saying that it wasn't, he wouldn't be capable of doing it. So it came down to either going to university or becoming an electrician. Now, we went and played at Christmas holidays with 3 other civil engineers, and they all said, listen, you've got to learn to give it a try. And he did. And he now runs, he's 36 years old, in his mid-30s, and he runs a multi-million-dollar business in structural engineering.
What a great story.
Structural engineering. So he's just powering, and he tells me what drives him, that people used to tell him that he'd be no good, that he wouldn't amount to anything, and he uses that to just keep working and working, and he's doing fantastic. I've got 4 kids, and he's undoubtedly the most successful.
What a wonderful story. Well, you can be really, really proud father because you supported him through it, Mark, which is, I think, half the challenge. But well done to him, well done to you. Lovely story. We need stories like that. Thank you, Mark. I tell you what, mate, hang on there. We've got to reward stories like that. What am I going to do? How about I give you a double pass to Gilbert O'Sullivan, May 2025? How about that? Hang on there. We'll grab your details and you can go and enjoy that, maybe with your son, maybe with someone else. David, good afternoon.
Michael, I just wanted to say I'm a surveyor, and we are desperate for new people in our industry.
At the
it's
roundabout,
maths orientated,
second exit.
but the world is your oyster if you're a surveyor. You live in the outdoors. You're in a different place every day for lunch. You could be on top of the harbour bridge, top of the building, in the country on a mountain. It's just a wonderful career.
Yeah, I've met a couple of surveyors when we did a little extension to our house. Not quite being on top of the harbour bridge, but nonetheless they were there. But it's a great job. And as you say, David, there's so much work, isn't there?
Oh, there's mountains of work for us to do. I've travelled the state doing stuff for telecommunications. I'm now doing leasing. I now own my own company. And again, like the previous caller, I started off, I was hopeless at school, but I was good at maths. And I was given a cadetship by a surveyor, and there we go.
I love the story. Hey, David, I tell you what, you're going to see Gilbert O'Sullivan as well. Hang on there, mate. I'm going to grab your details and we'll make sure a double pass comes your way. Experience the magic of Gilbert O'Sullivan and his magic. Legendary artist behind timeless hits like Alone Again, Naturally and Clear, of course. May 2025. It's at the City Recital Hall in Sydney, if you want to go, by the way. CityRecitalHall.com or Ticketmaster.
Now on Afternoons. Things Finance with Blake Webb from Pretzel Wealth. Organise your free consultation at pretzelwealth.com.au.
I'm told this bloke does a pretty good Gilbert O'Sullivan karaoke, just quietly. Blake Webb, good afternoon. G'day, Michael. Now, what do you want to do? Do you want to do Clear? Alone Again, Naturally?
I don't think anyone wants to hear that sort of stuff from my
All right,
voice.
okay, we'll stick to the finance.
Good on you.
Let's stick with them. The inflation numbers, you can look at this 2 ways. You can look at the headline figure or the, what do they call it, the mean. So the headline figures are looking positive. It's got a 2 in front of it. The mean, though, is still 3.5%. So what's the RBA looking at?
So their favourable measure is the underlying inflation, or the mean inflation figures.
Right.
And the reason why they like that is because when they take or collect the data on price price changes, they like to strip out volatile items. So
Turn
if there's
right.
a flood somewhere and that affects crops, or there's certain weather patterns that impact the cost of certain fruits.
Or there's a government come along and pays your power bill for you.
Something like that. They like to adjust the figures and look at really what the basket of goods would have looked like had that event not taken place. And so we had a 3.5% figure come to us today. That's down from 3.9%, so that's a positive shift.
Going in the right direction.
Heading in the right direction, certainly. And so we're seeing both the headline and the underlying figures head in the right direction, which is terrific. We need to see underlying inflation below 3%. Then the RBA may start to talk about rate cuts. They're not going to start talking about rate cuts until they're very confident that the underlying inflation will stay below 3%. So we do still expect rate cuts into the new calendar year when that takes place, but definitely positive news today.
Okay, yeah, exactly. We'll take the positive. I did make a comment earlier, and I prefaced it by saying I have absolutely no credibility to be saying this, but I suspect these numbers are not yet good enough for the RBA to cut on Melbourne Cup Day. Do you concur with that?
I completely agree. 3.5% underlying inflation is still above the band to 3% target range.
And the other thing is unemployment is still very low.
Unemployment, yep, and we had that great jobs number a few weeks back. A lot of jobs being created in the month of September. So that's not heading in the right direction for rate cuts. We need unemployment picking up, and we also need inflation down to the target band. So we're not there yet. We won't get a rate cut come day, unfortunately.
Okay, another thing to look at, though, is the spending in the economy. Because, I mean, you get these sort of macro figures, but if we're all saying we're skint here because we're now all rolled over to higher mortgages and we've got no discretionary money left, the RBA will figure, maybe we do need to cut rates at some point to try to get a bit of the economy stimulus going. So tomorrow, I think, is it that we're going to get the month-on-month retail sales?
Well, that's exactly right, Michael. So last month we saw a reading of 0.7% for retail sales. Expectations for tomorrow are 0.3%. So if we see that coming down, then that's another sort of tick, box being ticked for the RBA to say, well, people aren't spending as much. That means that the pressure on inflation may not be there. And so if retail sales come in lower than expectations, then that just supports the RBA cutting in due course.
Okay, it's a balancing act. Okay, now if you've got a question for Blake about your finances, don't worry about the nation's finances. They are sort of all tied in together, I guess. 131873. Don't be shy. 131873. No question too difficult or too silly. And we're getting texts and emails. Let's start with those. This is from Peggy Blake. She says, if I start an account-based pension and I do not need the cash, where would you invest it? You go back into super, or do you do it outside of super?
Okay, yeah, great question. A lot of people think, they might be working beyond 65 years of age. They have these account-based pensions, or they choose not to, I suppose, start the account-based pension because they are working, and they're thinking to themselves, well, I don't need the money. So if you're below 75 years of age, you can get the money back into super, obviously subject to contribution limits being in place. But a great way to get that money invested is through super. We want it back in the superannuation environment. It's a very tax-effective environment to hold money. If you can't get the money back into super, then obviously investing it personally might be the way to go. If you've got debts that need to be cleared, credit card or the home loan, we'll allocate that towards debt, of course. But recycling that back into super can be a great option for those. At 65 years of age, you've got full access to your super. So starting an account-based pension usually makes sense. And why it makes sense is because all the investments that you've got through in your super at 65, if you move to an account-based pension, those investments are tax-free. So there's no income tax, there's no capital gains tax. It's a very tax-effective structure. So I'd encourage people to put money back into super if you can.
Okay, there you go, Peggy. Thank you for asking. On the email, this is from Graham, came in earlier today. He says, just for you, Blake, he's 52, current balance 1.6 million in super, I assume. He said, I will continue to deposit $30,000 a year as I've maxed out my 3-year after-tax deposits of $360,000 this year.
Keep it right.
I don't want to have a high-risk investment option. Should I leave my funds in balanced shares?
Well, I think balanced shares or balanced the balanced investment option. Just got to be careful, Graham, just in terms of what does balanced actually mean. So I'd do a deep dive into your superannuation fund to determine 85% in growth assets, so shares, property, private equity. So we've got to be careful when we're saying, okay, we're in balanced. Don't assume that balanced is the same across the board. Balanced may be too aggressive for you. If you're saying, I don't want to take a lot of risk, just do a deep dive into your super fund, find out how it's invested, and possibly speak to a financial advisor to find out exactly what level of risk you are taking. Because often if you sort of tick the default box and you're in balanced, maybe it's too much risk for your current situation.
Okay, yes, that's okay. Let's just quickly, before we take a break and take calls, let's just focus on that. So people think, okay, I'm going to be safe, I'll have it in balanced, as opposed to growth or whatever these other words are, but they're not tightly defined, are they? I mean, it's a little bit open to interpretation, I guess. There's no rule, is there, about what a balanced fund must constitute?
Well, no, there's no defined parameters, of course. So Australian Super, they're at 76.5% growth. CBUS is at 83% growth. And, you know, if you think of balanced, you think, well, 50-50, it should be quite level. You know, my defensive assets should be in the same proportion as my growth assets. But balanced has become this, what I would define as growth, really. So,
well, certainly heavily tilted.
Heavily tilted. So just be careful when you are ticking a default box. Is that the right box to tick? So just ask that question of yourself and just understand exactly what you're getting yourself into.
I'm glad Graham asked that on the email. It's a very important point we've raised. Okay, it's 1:45. Calls, texts, everything coming through. 131873. We'll deal with all of it with Blake after this.
At Woolworths, enjoy great weekly specials this spring. Like Woolworths Cook Marinated Beef, Lamb or Pork Steaks, 250 to 300 grams, any two for $15, save from $1. That's today's fresh food, people. On sale until November 5, all stores last may not be available in all stores or online. The Melbourne Cup is here. All the fashion, the fillies, and the fantastic extra value you get with Unibet. Enjoy market-leading odds, products, and promotions every weekend, like Best Road Exotics, Easy Form, and more. Unibet, your place to bet this Melbourne Cup. Bet now with the Unibet app or at unibet.com.au.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Well, I got into hosting on Airbnb a few years ago. Well, I'd lost my job, and that extra bit of income allowed me to stay in my home. These days, I host to cover the mortgage and pay for local trades, then any extra money goes straight into my super. It's my retirement fund and retirement home.
Hosting on Airbnb has become a lifeline for many Australians. That's why we want to work with governments to find solutions that benefit the whole community. Find out more at airbnb.com/stronger together.
When the weather gets hot, chill out with an iced coffee from 7-Eleven. Freshly ground coffee over ice and topped with milk, including oat and soy in selected stores. Just $3. 7-Eleven, wonderfully easier.
Get into Ammo this spring with incredible offers like designer indoor and outdoor floor and wall tiles just $24.95. White wall tiles at Quasi $14.95. Or marble mosaics just $11.95 each. Hurry, in-store or online.
Amber has the answer.
Keep right.
And then turn.
I shouldn't have walked to work today.
Okay, drop off done. We should head to the shops.
I'm already running late. I'll just cross here.
Green light ahead. She's seen me. She'll wait.
Slow traffic. They'll let me through.
You can't know what others are thinking.
Turn
Be
right.
aware. Drive with care. A message from the New South Wales Government.
The Hamilton Sabre Bicycle is on now. Book your Hamilton tickets for just $79. Offer only available via hamiltonmusical.com.au. Hurry, sale ends midnight tonight. Terms and conditions apply.
Australia's only hybrid truck, the Hino 300 Series Hybrid Electric, delivers up to 20% fuel and emission savings. So with lower fuel consumption and reduced maintenance costs, you'll save more over the lifetime of your truck. Powered by self-charging hybrid technology, it's the smart choice for businesses looking to invest now and benefit well into the future. The Hino 300 Series Hybrid Electric. Find out more at hino.com.au. That's another Hino advantage.
You're listening to Afternoons on Sydney's 2GB. Thanks to the Man-Shaped Limited Edition Birthday Cake flavour. Available now.
Okay, Blake Wynn from Pretzel Wealth here. Let's get to calls, lots of them. 131873. Andrew, good going to be borrowing a variable rate now.
Not a variable rate, no, certainly not.
Probably not even with 5 in front of it these days. You'd be pushing it.
Well, there's some lenders are coming down to 5, but you're going to have a lot of equity in your home to be able to borrow that. But that 5% that you were assessed at, you may have fixed the loan, but more than likely you've come off that fixed rate now. So to Andrew's point, it's a good point. I don't think interest rates will get down to that level again. It's quite unlikely that would happen. We'd need some sort of severe event to take place, or some shock. You've got an
course, you can book your complimentary consultation with Blake today if you like. pretzelwealth.com.au. That is the website. See you next week.
See you there.
Blake went.
Traffic for spinaleze.com.au, the world's best premium supportive pillow.
A section of Botany Road remains closed in Alexandria. An earlier truck crash has brought down power lines. You're just not going to get between Burke Road and Mandeville Street. A car and motorcycle crash has closed all but one northbound lane of the Princes Highway at Bulleye. So Princes Motorway, only sensible choice between Waterfall and Wollongong. And on the Windsor Road, unpleasant around St Helens. Stay calm. On your traffic leader, Sydney's 2GB.
Suffering from headaches, sore neck or snoring? The solution could be the world's best premium supportive Spinal Ease pillow. Order now at spinalease.com.au.
within the Reserve Bank's target range, mainly on the back of lower energy and petrol prices. But Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor says the latest inflation rate has been driven by government subsidies, which are not sustainable.
Data tells us that there is still a long way to go in the battle towards a strong low inflation economy in this country. Temporary subsidies will not hoodwink the Reserve Bank of Australia, and they certainly won't hoodwink the Australian public.
A male student has allegedly been gagged using a sex toy and verbally abused during a bullying incident at a Sydney University college. 6 men have been expelled from St Paul's over the mock trial. 21 bystanders have been suspended. The university says it's deeply disappointed by the behaviour and supports the action being taken by the college. Tributes, including flowers, have been laid at a Melbourne school as extra support is brought in following the death of a student. 11-year-old Jack Davey was killed when a car crashed through the fence of Auburn South Primary School. 4 other children were injured. Principal Marcus Wicker says support is being offered to those affected.
Our thoughts and heartfelt sympathy with Jack's family and friends, and our thoughts are also with the 4 students who remain in hospital, and of course their beautiful families. We are entirely focused as a community on the welfare of our students, staff and broader community.
The driver was arrested but has been released pending further inquiries. Customers at ING have been unable to make payments as the bank is hit with an outage. There have been more than 1,000 complaints about issues with its online services. The bank says it's aware of the problems and is working to resolve the outage. A court has heard body-worn footage will be crucial in the case against Jet Schofield, the son of a high-ranking federal police officer who's accused of assaulting police. And one person's been killed when a 10-storey building collapsed at a popular resort in Argentina. In finance, the All Ords down 61 Australian dollar, buying 65.54 US cents.
2GB Sport. Want relief from menopause symptoms? Take Harmony Menopause Max. Harmony, the #1 menopause brand in pharmacy.
The Dolphins have emerged as a potential new home for Ben Hunt. After endless speculation, the Dragons have released Hunt from the final year of his contract. Dolphins CEO Terry Reader saying his club is interested in talking with the 34-year-old. The New York Yankees are fighting hard to keep baseball's World Series alive. In the must-win Game 4, they lead the Los Angeles Dodgers 6-4 in the bottom of the 8th. The Dodgers lead the 7-game series 3-0. Earlier, a Yankees fan was ejected for trying to prevent Dodgers right fielder Mookie Betts from catching a foul ball.
And yeah, Betts has that ball in his glove, and this fan literally tries to take his glove off. Pries the ball out of there. A for effort.
Well, he won't be watching the game much longer.
Cox Play winning horse Via Sistina has been ruled out of next week's Melbourne Cup, and Alex De Minaur and Alexei Popper have both won through to the second round of the Paris Masters. That's sport. I'm Adam Hawes.
It's 2:04. That's the latest news and sport.
Listen carefully. Because you were hearing the last of the legendary Ram MV8s rolling out. Once they're gone, they're gone. If you don't like the sound of that, get one before they're all gone. Don't miss the last of the legendary Ram MV8s. Visit ramtrucks.com.au today.
Traffic on the app or streaming on your PC. It's clear. 2GB sounds great.
The Pacific Highway at Greenwich has a northbound breakdown at Osborne Street. Princess Highway at Bullo remains closed southbound. That's because of an earlier car and motorcycle crash. And a section of Botany Road closed at Alexandria. Worst of the Hume Highway is getting through Liverpool, and General Holmes drives hampered south through Kiama towards Brighton Le Sands and Old Windsor Road, slowing north at Seven Hills. I'm Steve Carline on Sydney's 2GB.
A chip in the bath. Sorry, Mum. Red wine on your bench top.
Ah, sorry, love.
When a surface in your home is damaged, don't replace it, repair it with Koenig. Koenig Surface Repairs specialise in repairs on all kinds of surface damages, from cracks and chips to stains and scratches, and the results are amazing. Mom! Don't worry, Koenig will repair it. KoenigSurfaceRepairs.com.au. That's Konig. Tracy Letz's Pulitzer Prize and Tony Award-winning tragicomedy, August, Osage County, is coming to Belvoir Street Theatre, featuring a monumental Australian cast, including Pamela Rabe, Helen Thompson and Tamsin Carroll. This intimate production is an uproarious and harrowing tale of a family unravelling. August, Osage County, a theatre experience you won't forget. Playing at Belvoir Street Theatre November 9 to December 15. Book your tickets now at belvoir.com.au.
Weather, listen, watch and have your say. You can do it all at 2gb.com.
Mostly sunny, nor'easterly winds 20 to 30 kilometres an hour before easing this evening. A shower or two developing tomorrow, 15 to 25 on the coast, 11 to 31 in the west. Right now in the city, 25 degrees, humidity 60%, winds nor'east 24 kilometres an hour, Bankstown 28 degrees, Cleveland 27, Lucas Heights 26. I'm Erin. There'll be more news at 2:30 on your news leader, Sydney's 2GB.
On 2GB and network stations. Back to afternoons with Michael McLeod.
You are listening because you went to the movie morning this morning. Really, really lovely to meet you again. Some people now, we've had 3, they've gone to 3. Great to see the sort of family starting to develop of our listeners coming along, and I got a bit of feedback from those that went to see Lee today, and people said it was a great movie. Of course, Kate Winslet, Ben interviewed Kate about a week or so ago right here where we're sitting now, so really great to see. I think we had about 60 odd people there today. It was pretty busy. Weren't too many assorted creams left before the movie started. I think we pushed the limits of the theatre. But nonetheless, wonderful to meet so many of you. Apologies to those I didn't get time to speak to, but I got around as best as I could. And look forward to seeing you same time next month, where Wicked is the movie. Wicked, so maybe you want to bring your grandkids along or something like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, I'll give you all the details. We'll give away tickets and things like that, obviously leading into it as well. But thank you for coming along. Lovely to see you. 131873, the open line number. Just briefly on the situation in America. I don't know. We in Australia, we lament the state of politics, right? We had yesterday talking about prime ministers that might have been calling the head of airlines, and people go, oh, this is just too much. But then you look at America, and the United States of America seems to defy logic in that it just powers ahead. It remains the global economic powerhouse, the incubator of innovation. It's an extraordinary story. All this talk about the decline of America, okay, it's not quite the hegemon it used to be, but it still is the big kid on the block. And for Australia, thank God that's the case. And yet you look at a lot of its leadership, and you think there's somewhere between being nincompoops and far worse than that. On both sides. Both sides. Half of them are so old, they could barely stay awake in the chamber. Some of them did not turn up. In the case of late Dianne Feinstein, she was 90, reigned a senator, claimed she was going to the votes, wasn't there. Didn't know she wasn't. She didn't know she wasn't there. She said, "Oh, yeah, I was voting." No, you weren't. You weren't there. And you've had others. It's just on the Republican side. So it's all a bit of a mess. So Trump had the so-called comedian denigrate Puerto Rico the other day as part of the warm-up act to his Madison Square Garden rally, and what momentum should have come out of that was lost because all the attention was on this imbecile and his silly racist comments. Now you'd think the Democrat machine, which is pretty
keep right and then continue straight on.
Sniffing up a shit. We're in a bit of strife here, so let's work this hard. Pennsylvania, so yesterday, big swing state, should win 19 votes. The electoral college map, a lot of Puerto Ricans, Latinos in Pennsylvania. Okay, so let's really hammer this home. So the comedian for Trump basically said Puerto Rico was a floating island of garbage. Really dumb. So what do the Democrats do? Well, today Kamala Harris has her sort of Madison Square Garden thing. She goes to the site of the January 6th speech by Trump in Washington. Same spot, all the optics are there, and delivers her so-called final message. But what happens just before that? know now, a lot of the media, they won't be quite as hard on him as they've been on Trump's comic, because a lot of the media in America clearly want Kamala Harris to win. Okay, so they will focus their anger and their grist appropriately according to the outcome they want to engineer. But nonetheless, this is getting headlines, and you sort of, it's one of those sort of head-in-hand moments. If you were Kamala Harris, you just want to strangle them. Well, you think, what are you doing? Clear air, Joe. So one or two things. Either because he's not that cognitively sound, he's our own unique circumstances, of course. And that's why Pretzel World takes your planning personally. Now, making the point, they offer a free 45-minute face-to-face consultation to explore your retirement living goals. No pressure, it's just personal retirement planning. AFSL 238429. So for financial planning that is personal, this is the difference.
Please mind the speed.
Contact Blake Wiggins at Pretzel Wealth. pretzelwealth.com.au.
Get into Ammo this spring with incredible offers like designer indoor and outdoor floor and wall tiles, just $24.95. White wall tiles at crazy $14.95. Or marble mosaics, just $11.95 each. Hurry, in-store or online.
Amber has the answer.
The Hamilton Say Goodbye sale is on now. Book your Hamilton tickets for just $79. Offer only available via hamiltonmusical.com.au. Hurry, sale ends midnight tonight. Terms and conditions apply.
Telstra Business Technology Centres offer expert solutions from a dedicated team to help you get what's best for your business. Talk to a Telstra Business Tech Advisor to find out more. Visit telstra.com/TBTC today.
You're listening to 2GB. Been staring at a screen all day? We'll even protect your dry eyes with preservative-free Nova Tears. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
It is 17 minutes past 2.
Melbourne afternoons. Train with better. Thanks to Hamper World, the gift specialist, making a celebration out of every occasion. Order online for Christmas now from hamperworld.com.au.
Okay, so here we go. We've got a wonderful $100 hamper from the good people at Hamper World on the line. These are fantastic hampers, and if you're thinking, remember, don't you get Christmas time? What do you get the person that's got everything? Or maybe the neighbour's going to drop around. You need a little something if you like them. Well, have a look at Hamper World. Check out the website, hamperworld.com.au. Might make your life a little easier in the festive season. Now, I'll play a bit of a song here, and then, of course, I'll ask you a question. I know Ray was remembering the great Doug Parkinson on his show earlier today. Dear Prudence by Doug Parkinson. Okay, so here's your question on this Wednesday edition of the program. Today would have been Doug Parkinson's birthday. Now, over the years, he played, I think I'm right in saying, 2 characters in Jesus Christ Superstar. If you can name one of those 2 characters, the prize is yours. The great Doug Parkinson, over the years, he played, I think, 2 different characters in Jesus Christ Superstar. All you got to do is give me the name of one of those characters. 131873, and the hamper is yours.
Keep right. Exit right. Exit right. Get ready to turn right. Turn right.
Great song too. Okay, let's have a final winner. Jim's in Canberra. Jim, you were first through, mate. You got an answer for me?
Mate, I don't really, but I'll have a guess at Julius Caesar.
Right period. But no, wasn't Julius Caesar. Thank you, Jim. G'day,
Go
Peter.
straight on.
Was it Judas?
Yeah, that was one of them. Yep, it's yours. Judas or Herod, one of the two. Well done, Peter. Hang on there, mate. The hamper's coming your way, $100 worth of it, thanks to Hamper World, the gift specialist, making a celebration out of every occasion. You can order now for Christmas, is it? hamperworld.com.au. Actually, it wouldn't have been Julius Caesar, would he? He was a little before all of that, of course. He was rather BC, if my history comes back to me. But Herod or Judas, of course, were the 2 options of it. What a great performance, Doug Parkinson. It's 21 past 2.
It's almost 3 o'clock. Time to find out what's coming up on Drive. for the Kia Stonic Compact SUV. Kia's smallest and most nimble SUV yet. Available now at your local Kia dealer. Book your test drive.
All right, 22 past 2. Chris is here with what's coming up on Drive. Hello, Chris.
G'day, Michael. How are you?
All right. Dealing with all the inflation numbers and this number as opposed to that number.
Oh, no, the mean versus the headline.
Yeah.
I think we're in for a good 2025.
I hope so.
Don't you think? I think we're over the hump. I was reading some stuff about this today. I'll speak about it a little later on my program, but I was reading some things today that this is the best consumer sentiment data that Westpac have received in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the highest proportion of full-time employees and people who work for themselves that are confident in what lies ahead of them financially for the next 12 months. And you've got, whenever it is, interest rates will be cut. Inflation is, whatever figure you look at, is going down, not up. Good news, right?
Heading in the right direction.
Isn't it a bit of hope always nice to talk about?
We need a bit.
People are just holding on, and have held on for grim death. And I think they've probably successfully over the hump, and I think that's a good thing.
Mind you, people tell me that when they've gone to redo their mortgage in the last whatever months, some of the banks are offering a reasonable deal for a 1-year fixed. But then for 2 or 3 years, the rate's higher. So I don't know. I mean, I'm no economist, but I suspect that is the bank saying we think rates will come down a bit, but then they might well start ticking up again. So I don't know where they're getting their data from. They obviously have smart people they talk to. It's a bit of a game of poker too. There's a lot of that.
The banks will be sitting there going, okay, well, we might get 3 rate cuts, we might get 5 rate cuts. Let's get you in for 5 years and we'll give you X. And you might end up paying more or less. We won't know until we know, but you don't know what the cards that I've got. I don't know the cards you've got.
Yeah. Well, in the case of doing a deal with the bank, they've got all the cards. I've got the debt. So that's a lot of it too, isn't it? It sure is. What's after 3?
Well, to chat about a bit about the economy, of course. I don't know if you've seen what's occurring in Ku-ring-gai, so Linfield, Gordon, and places like that.
900-story towers.
Well, it's bizarre, right? So Ku-ring-gai Council has pushed back in a big way. They've been on the front line of the fight against the Minns government building apartment blocks around these train stations. So they've taken them to court. So Ku-ring-gai and the Minns government, they're off to court to fight the togs. Now, what is bizarre is that they've come up with an alternative plan, and there's a whole bunch that have come up with an alternate plan. Hornsby's done a very good job.
Get ready to turn right.
But the alternate plan has
Caution,
45-story
please mind the
apartment
speed.
blocks in the airspace above heritage-listed buildings.
Turn right, and then turn
So you've got a
left.
heritage-listed building with a 45-story apartment block on top of it, and that is
Turn left.
supposedly the solution to the housing crisis in Ku-ring-gai. It seems very strange to me.
Because near the train station, but
yes. So that's the Minns government's plan too. They're going to court for it.
Yeah.
Spending ratepayer money fighting it. And they're all the alternatives. The same thing.
just more,
Caution,
but not
please
quite
mind
as high,
speed.
spread out. I think if we're all honest, we've all got a fair bit of NIMBYians.
Sure.
And, a lot of people say, oh, well, they're the wealthy people up there, and tough luck, you've had your 3-acre blocks, and you can cop a bit of this. But,
Keep right, and
sort
then
of dispassionately
turn right.
looking at it, I sort of think, well, there's a little part of me, I keep banging on about how much I like Adelaide.
right.
It's beautiful. But, you come back from a city like Adelaide, and sure, it's got a third of the population we do, but they've preserved so many of the great old homes on reasonable blocks, wonderful standard of living, and it looks really nice. And we are going in the direction of saying, sod that. Let's bowl it all over, get rid of all the big old homes, get rid of the blocks of land, money. What are we going to leave in 100 years' time? Okay, there'll be a roof for most people over their head, but what the hell are they going to be looking at?
Legoland.
Be like Shanghai.
But the thing, look, I understand what you're saying. The only sympathy, I haven't got sympathy. I think everyone needs to take a little bit. If everyone takes a little bit of the housing supply issue, all suburbs, all local council areas, everyone takes a little bit, then it won't have a massive impact on the amenity of the suburb. That's my view. However, the sympathy I've got for the people of Ku-ring-gai, Gordon, Linfield, places like that, You're driven on the Pacific Highway.
There's a mess. And look, I've got very little sympathy for the people who are selling because they're getting multi millions of dollars because they're selling in a block. So good luck to them. But
and
the
then
people
turn
around them, right? No intention of selling. They bought there 10 years ago. They like it. I mean, they're going to be looking at all these towers and
turn right.
I guess it's got to happen. We can't have people living under bridges, but I don't think we're leaving a beautiful city.
I still reckon that we've got a lot of opportunity in greenfield sites. I do. And it just means we've got to spend money on infrastructure, we've got to spend money on roads. I understand that. However, it's got to be a mix. We've got... People say, Sydney's running out of room to the west. Well, not really. There's still lots of room where hundreds of thousands of homes can be built. It's going to be expensive to put the wastewater and the transport infrastructure and all the rest of it. I get that. But by the same token, I will still argue that's a nicer calibre of living and standard of living than living in a 100-storey apartment. Especially
Go straight
cities
on.
within cities and all this sort of stuff. Mind you, what's the carrying capacity? If you get to the politicians better than I do, but you ask any of them there in Macquarie Street,
and then
what's the
turn
maximum carrying capacity of Sydney from a water point of view?
That's a good point.
Turn
None
left.
of them can give you the answer. Not very one will give you the answer because they don't know. I interviewed a water minister a couple of years ago about this. Didn't have the answer. The water minister. I said, okay, well, surely you've got a document there somewhere with our desal plan of the dams. On average rainfall levels, we can take 7 million or whatever. Oh, I'll have to look into it. No idea.
Sure, but and it's not just the capacity of the water resources that we may or may not have. The infrastructure that we've got, and especially sort of east of, Five Dock and Parramatta, it's really old. And it's brittle in some situations. And you're looking at Wellington over in New Zealand at the moment. They've got major problems. They've got water restrictions, not because it's not raining, but because the infrastructure's cracking.
Crumbling. Yeah, that's right.
Here's the other one we're going to look at. I didn't realise this, and as someone, we've both got children roughly the same age, so it doesn't feel that long ago that our wives were in hospital giving birth.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Imagine if the moment your wife went into hospital and you run to the hospital as you need to, you were told by your local hospital, sorry, you can't come here because we have no staff. That's occurring in Tamworth. It's occurring in Armidale. It's occurring in Narrabri. It's occurring in all these places in our Central West. And I'm going to speak to the Health Minister about this because there's one lady who was told she was in labour to give birth at Tamworth Base Hospital. She was told, sorry, if you want to give birth, you've got to go to Inverell, which is 2 hours away, get this, but you'll have to be induced early because the obstetrician's going on holidays tomorrow. And if you otherwise, off to Newcastle, 400 kilometres away to get a caesarean. No medical reason for it whatsoever. And they've done a global search for midwives. Global search. Guess how many they came up?
Go straight on.
I mean, to go back to where we started, people
At
say,
the roundabout.
what about decentralisation?
It's such a good point, isn't it?
Okay. Well, how are you going to decentralise anywhere if with small regional populations you don't even have OBGYNs on standby in hospitals?
In Mudgee. They're not taking anybody at the medical centre anymore. Books are closed. Can't get a doctor in Mudgee. There's no doctor in Gulgong. How are we supposed to move out of Sydney? I wouldn't take a young family to the bush if there's not adequate medical care.
Well, you couldn't.
Caution. Please mind the speed.
By the way, before we go, Ben Hunt.
Yeah, it's good news. Very good news.
Isn't he one of your...
No, he's never been a
Keep
dragon,
left.
I'll be honest.
And then
I just don't
turn
think his
left.
heart was ever in it. And end of the day, he's been at the club for 7 years
Turn
and we've
left.
made one final series. St George Illawarra have spent $8 million on Ben Hunt as our captain. And the return on investment's been one final series. Sure, it's not all his fault. He wants out of the joints. At some point, you've just got to say, thanks for your service. Well, it's not working.
Get
ready to turn right.
I tell you, we'll have him at Concord. Why not?
Because you've got Lockie. We'll swap. We'll take Lockie Galvin.
Turn right.
You got Lockie Galvin at Jerome Luai. Trust me, you don't want Ben Hunt.
Okay, Ben, off to the Titans.
He's off to the Dogs, I reckon. Or the Roosters. The Roosters will fit him in somewhere.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Good on you, Chris. Chris O'Keefe with Drive straight over the three.
This news for Garlo's Pies in all Coles, Woolworths and selected IGA stores. Garlo's Pies, thin on pastry, big on meat.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michael. There's been a big drop in Australia's inflation rate at 2.8%. It's finally within the Reserve Bank's target range. More than half of stolen Bluey coins have been recovered following the daring robbery in Western Sydney. A British teenager accused of stabbing 3 young girls to death at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class is now facing terrorism charges. And the state's annual car safety guide's been released and shows a driver of the lowest rated vehicle is 10 times more likely to be killed or seriously injured in a crash than a driver in the safest vehicle. It focuses on second-hand cars. In sport, baseball's World Series is still alive after the New York Yankees beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 11-4 in Game 4. The Dodgers now lead the series 3-1. There'll be more news at 3 o'clock.
On afternoons, a finance update for Pretzel Wealth and Finance. For trusted financial planning, just Google Blake went to Pretzel.
All right, let's catch up with Scott Phillips. Scott Phillips from the Motley Fool, fool.com.au on this Wednesday afternoon. Hello, Scott.
Michael, good afternoon.
Woolworths, their quarterly results have been released. How are they looking?
Mate, not great. Sales are good. Sales are up 4.5%. That's kind of what you'd expect from a big supermarket retailer. Coles and Woolies pretty dominant, we know that. Spending up by that kind of number. So that wasn't a surprise. What did surprise the market by a decent amount
here we
was
go.
the fact that the spending is all being done on lower margin and products that are on special. And so that 4.5% increase in sales turned into a 6% reduction in expected profit. Now, the market was expecting a whole lot more than that. This is, by the way, make about $1.5 billion. I know they're $1 billion worth of sales, so they're going to be okay. But a really interesting one, a drop in profit, a profit 10% below analyst expectations. And it does completely come down to what we're spending money on. Now, that's really interesting, mate. I've mentioned it a couple of times, but the big trend that's going kind of under the radar at the moment is online sales, even from traditional physical retailers. Woolies online sales are up 21%. Now, so the total sales up 4.5%, online up 21%. The kick in the tail is here for Woolies. They are making less margin on those online sales. So while those sales are growing, and it's going to be an ongoing trend, and that was part of Mosaic's, we talked about that earlier in the week.
And then turn left.
That, or the impact of that, then lower margins for the retailers. So shares down about 6% relatively recently. The market not loving it at all. Sales up, but profits down.
How are we looking more broadly, though, with that market on the dollar today?
Down again, unfortunately. All down about 0.8%, mate, 8,400 points as we speak. The Aussie dollar's also been on a really interesting decline. It's falling again today. It's like the third or fourth day in a row. Off also by 0.4%, 65.
Caution, please mind.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Speak tomorrow. Scott Phillips there from the Motley Fool, fool.com.au. More after this.
Traffic. Ben Fordham for breakfast, 5:30 weekdays on 2GB.
The Princes Highway has reopened at Bulli, but no such luck with Botany Road, Alexandria. The stretch between Burke Road and Manville Street remains closed. Unconfirmed, but we're hearing near the BP at Rydalmere a box of screws on Victoria Road and Clyde Street. That's a test for your steel-belted radials. Richmond Road scrappy at Colby and the Hume Highway quite busy through Liverpool. I'm Steve Carline on Sydney's 2GB.
Exit now.
You make Sydney's #1 station sound even better? Download the 2GB app to your smartphone or stream on your PC. 2GB.com.
Hi, John Rocker here. Searching for a new or pre-owned Toyota? Then set your sat-nav to Sydney City Toyota Glebe or Waterloo and experience one-stop vehicle shopping the Sydney City Toyota way. My award-winning team and I will make it easy for you. From choosing the right car to tailoring a finance and insurance package that meets your needs. Visit Sydney City Toyota, Glebe or Waterloo, or search Sydney City Toyota and go where you're treated best. Oh, what a feeling, Toyota. MD 53160.
You know, one of the secrets to ageing well is eating well, but many older Australians struggle preparing those healthy meals in their own home. Well, that's why Light and Easy partner with home care package providers is to offer nutritious, delicious meals for seniors at affordable prices. Now, home care package recipients can take advantage of split billing. Basically means they only have to pay for 30% of their Light and Easy meals, and that can work out to be less than $4 per meal. And with over 235 delicious breakfasts, lunches and dinners to choose from, there is something for everyone at Light and Easy. Now, don't forget, there are no contracts or subscriptions. You just order what you want when you want. So if you or someone you care for could benefit from Light and Easy's award-winning healthy meal delivery service, get in touch, lightandeasy.com.au, 13 15 12.
Discover the new and go beyond the expected with APT Luxury
Caution, please
Find
mind
hidden
speed.
treasures. Discover the world in a whole new way with APT Luxury Travel. Visit our website
Caution,
or contact
please
your
mind
APT
speed.
travel expert.
Hi, Rodney Jane here. At Bob Jane T-Mart, we're the specialists in wheels and tyres. This month, we've got Bridgestone free, Yokohama free, Kumo free. How? Simply buy 3 and the 4th tyres free. Plus, up to
Caution,
$200
please mind
instant
speed.
cashback on selected tyres. We won't be beaten with our best tyre price guarantee. At Bob Jane T-Mart, we'll look after you. T's and C's apply.
Things were different back in the 80s. A sea of brown cars and mobile phones the size of fridges. But one thing hasn't changed. With an average return of 8.87% per annum over the last 40 years for our growth My Super option, CBUS Super has been making hard work pay off since 1984. Read the PDS and TMD to decide if CBUS is right for you. Past performance is not a reliable indicator of future performance.
40 weeks spring sale. Save on top quality mattresses and adjustable bases. 50% off when you spend over $4,999. 40% off over $2,999. And 30% off over $14,999. Sale ends Sunday. Terms and conditions apply. 40 weeks. Serious about sleep.
You're listening to Afternoons on
Turn
2GB.
right.
Got a gurgle in your drains? The solution is always to call the Drain Man. We'll fix it fast. 1-800-THE-DRAIN-MAN.
Just regarding the US election, Jacob's just handed me this story. It's come out of The Guardian. Again, all I can say is dear oh dear. It says here 2 women were removed from a British Airways flight at Heathrow. This is after an altercation reportedly provoked by a MAGA cap. The incident occurred Saturday. The women, aged 40 and 60, were preparing to board a flight bound for Austin, Texas. Witnesses said that one woman took offence at a fellow passenger's red MAGA hat, worn by supporters of Trump, of course, asked that it be removed. So flight BA191 had been due to depart the airport at 12:10 p.m. It eventually took off at 2:11 p.m. Did so without the 2 women on board. Punches were allegedly exchanged between the 2 women. Both booked a flight in premium economy before they ended up squaring up to one another in the cabin. The captain called for assistance. Police arrived at the scene. They escorted the passengers from the aircraft.
Finally, we are here.
131873. Okay, to some different matters. There's a piece out the other day in the Daily Telegraph. I've been meaning to get to this. Maybe you can shed a bit of light on it, because I'm told the buffet is back. The buffet is back. Of course, we spoke about COVID earlier. Well, one of the things COVID killed was buffet kind of eateries. You just can't have people in common areas like that with food spreading viruses. So the theory went, and so that was the end of the buffet. But now that we're living again with the virus in every respect, it's apparently the case that certain buffets are coming back. Now, not so much Sizzler or anything like this, but they were saying here the Korean all-you-can-eat barbecue restaurant known as Butcher's Buffet. I haven't been to one of these, maybe you have. Opened its first restaurant in Strathfield just a few months, I think, before anyone had heard the word COVID, because that came along. Not great for business. Now, less than 5 years later, they're set to open store number 6. This is going to be in Lidcombe, so it's a good success story for them, and it follows the opening of their Chinatown location, which is the largest restaurant they have. Seats over 200, 60 barbecue stations. They did that earlier this year. They have more plans in 2025. So, I don't know, I've never been to the Butcher's Buffet. I've had a little bit of Korean food in my time, but not too much. Anyway, they seem to be going okay. Someone I know went to... There's a place at the new Crown in Sydney, I think it's called Epicurean, and they do a buffet. It's often sold out, and it's not Korean, it's Epicurean, as in EPICUREAN, and they do all sorts of pretty fancy sort of stuff, but it's a buffet. It's a buffet. And the Telegraph here saying bookings there have increased by 5% over the past few months. I remember as a kid, my grandparents would take us to West Leagues in Ashfield, and they used to have this fantastic, seriously huge, all-you-can-eat buffet. And being kids, we went straight to the dessert thing, right? You had all these different ice creams and cakes and it was just so good. But you used to get a lot of Chinese type of foods, and there'd be pastas, and there was always garlic bread, and there was fried rice, and there was a roasted thing. mean, all of this was fantastic. And particularly when you were little, really was like living in this world. Just never said they deserve it. But a lot of those places are gone. As a kid, occasionally Pizza Hut would do the birthday thing, right? With one of your friends and have the all-you-can-eat, and you'd tumble out of there feeling sick because you'd go so crazy on the soft-serve ice cream with those little jelly cubes and then the sprinkles and all the other, you would be so overloaded with sugar in your face. So that was a memory. I'm not sure it was particularly fond. it was sort of as a kid, but a lot of that now. I mean, Pizza Hut still do buffets anywhere. There are a couple outside of New South Wales. I guess the one thing you can still get a fair bit of in hotels would be breakfast buffets, right? They still do that. Certainly overseas. In Germany, that's still a pretty big thing, sort of the brunch buffet at the rather good hotels. And they do a good job of it. But COVID stymied a lot of that. But it's coming back. People sort of like that idea, I think. Well, I don't know if I want that off the menu or that. I'll just have a little taste of everything. And, there's buffets and then there's buffets. But if you sort of get the middle of the line one, I think you're onto a winner. You might have some memories. 131873. Regarding what's happening in America, no name on this text, but I think they make a valid point saying, well, all of this, it makes you wonder what's going to happen next week. And I think it's true to say, irrespective of who wins, I hope they win by a big margin. I hope it's decisive and clear, because the last thing America or the world needs is another disputed election result. And all of the associated craziness that goes with that. Jason says, I was never a fan for lunch or dinner, but the Korean barbecue buffets are usually excellent, and I go nuts for a good breakfast buffet. That's from Jason. Well, if you can tell us where you get a good breakfast buffet in Sydney, I'm all ears, because I do like them myself. 131873, the open line number. You would have heard this in the news earlier. Almost 1,300 people reporting issues accessing ING, Australia's banking services. As of midday today, about 1,300 people said we can't get through. This is according to the website Down Detector. Now, in a statement, ING said it was aware that some customers are currently experiencing issues accessing the ING website and the app, and delays making and receiving payment. So they said the team working urgently to resolve the issue and all this sort of stuff. Sorry for the inconvenience. Another warning, though, I guess it's just another shot across the bow. We've got to be very careful if we go all in when it comes to the digital future for money. I understand why we do it. I understand it has its benefits, but you've got to have the backup. You've got to have the backup plan. There's got to be plan B. It may not be a blackout. It might be a cyber strike. And ING, small player in the Australian market, but, you can imagine some of these bigger banks, they're as vulnerable as anybody else. ING's a big international body, so they've got their firewalls and stuff, but if things happen, you can't get access to your money, we have a problem. It's got to be a plan B. And the only one I can think of is cold, hard, physical cash. 131873. Michael on the text says, mate, the best breakfast buffet is the Shangri-La in the city. They do a damn good high tea. Tell you what, right up there on the top of the Blue Bar, holy Nelly, that's one heck of a high tea up there, and the view, so good. This one from Barb, who says, my daughter took me to the Epicurean for Mother's Day. The food was so fresh, never-ending, and has every type of cuisine you could ever want. Anyone that goes there, I'm sure, will not be disappointed each sitting 2.5 hours. Barb, well, you're lucky, Barb. You've got a good daughter. Thank you for that. Mark makes the point, cruising and cruise ships have the ultimate buffet. That's true. They do.
Ready to roll.
And I think the midnight buffet is the one that people hanker for. When the sausage rolls come out, doesn't matter if you're a gourmet or whatever, boom, straight to the sausage roll. Joel here would be front of the... I reckon Joel would push a pension way to get to the front of the queue for the sausage roll.
Get ready to
just
turn
4
left.
drops of barbecue sauce and everything. You don't want to get in. You don't want to break
Turn
that up.
left.
Anthony, g'day.
Good afternoon, Michael.
Mate, thank you.
What do you want, breakfast or dinner?
What are you cooking?
What do you ask for, breakfast one or dinner one?
I'll tell you what, give me a dinner one.
Dinner one, we'll go to the Richmond Club. They've got a cozy restaurant in there now, and there's all little small dishes, so it's beautiful.
Okay, what about breakfast?
Breakfast, go to what used to be called the
Caution,
Rumcorn
please mind the speed
the golf course there. Now the Sunday morning for your buffet, and they'll also cook whatever you want.
Oh, okay, how about that? So what, they'll do the eggs your way and that's
Caution, please mind the speed.
They'll do whatever you want. They do a lovely, eggs Benedict or whatever you want. Plus they got all this food already cooked for you there too.
That is fantastic. Okay, all right, noted. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that very, very much. This one from Mark, who said we used to take our kids to the all-you-can-eat, but myself and the hubby would get the roast served to you because of all the kids' hands in everything else. That's right. Yeah, remember that scene out of Vegas Vacation? I think it's Cousin Randy, isn't it? And they go to the buffet in Vegas, and he's going along the line, and there's all the different dishes, including the blue potato dish. Remember that? Don't skip on the blue potato. Sort of thing, you know. There can be a grungy aspect to some buffets. People that swap the spoons over, and you get a few of the whatever cream sauces going into this one over here. But if you've got the squeam factor, then you just go for the roast. It's cut fresh. Happy days. It's 12
Spring has arrived at U-Blinds, and we're celebrating with half price off our range of plantation shutters and Secure Force security products. Yes, 50% off, and plus guaranteed pre-Christmas installation. And that's not all. U-Blinds has also taken 40% off fabric and folding arm awnings, 40% off curtains, roller blinds and zip screens, plus half price off plantation shutters and Secure Force security. The U-Blinds Spring Sale. Book your free measure and quote today. ublinds.com.au. Conditions apply.
It's your final chance to see Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical blockbuster Sunset Boulevard at Sydney Opera House, with all remaining tickets just $85 for a limited time. Book now. Offer only available at sunsetmusical.com.au. T&Cs apply.
Australia's only hybrid truck, the Hino 300 Series Hybrid Electric, delivers up to 20% fuel and emission savings. So with lower fuel consumption and reduced maintenance costs, you'll save more over the lifetime of your truck. Powered by self-charging hybrid technology, it's the smart choice for businesses looking to invest now and benefit well into the future. The Hino 300 Series Hybrid Electric. Find out more at hino.com.au. That's another Hino advantage.
With a Westpac home loan package, not only is all your banking in one place, but you'll also save over $5,000 on interest charges in the first year alone that you can spend on whatever you like. I could finally get a parrot. Or maybe not. Search Westpac home loan packages today. Credit criteria, T's and C's, fees, charges, and $395 annual package fee apply. Based on a 400k Rocket Repay variable rate home loan standard package discount. Visit westpac.com.au/packages.
Bang, 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 bang. With KFC's $9.95 pack lunch, you can lunch a lot. Score a double tender burger, chips, potato and gravy, plus a drink. Get more bang for your bucket every day at KFC. Not available on delivery. Bang, 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 bang.
Healthy iron levels promote healthy energy levels and reduce fatigue. So put Ferro Lipo sachets to work. Their LipoShell liposomal technology helps to reduce stomach upsets and enhance absorption. Available from Chemist Warehouse, health stores, and leading pharmacies.
Caution, please mind
Always read the label and follow the directions for use. AFT Pharmaceuticals, Sydney.
Oh, the working life. You wake up, you work, you get paid. Repeat. Until one day, you find a whole new rhythm like...
Caution, please mind the speed.
Going travelling.
You're spending time with the grandkids. Aware Super helps you find your rhythm of retirement.
Ready to turn
That's super helpful. Consider if Aware Super is right for you at the PDS and TMD on our website at aware.com.au.
You're listening to 2GB for preservative-free relief of dry eyes with no blurring. Swap your drops to the silky smooth feel of Nova Tears. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
Just an additional note here from ING regarding the outage earlier. They've just said that we're working to resolve the website and app disruption some customers are experiencing. The issue does not impact the ability to make payments using a card or mobile device. It also does not affect automated scheduled payments. We're very sorry for the inconveniences it's causing and we'll continue to provide updates as we make progress. We thank them for the statement. 131873, the open line number. A lot of text still coming through, certainly regarding the buffets. This one from someone who says Sizzler. Sizzler, amazing cheese, bread and wedges. As a kid, I And all I had to do was eat that, and then I had access to the dessert bar. Best days of my life. Yeah, you got to sort of skip the main bit, the salad bar. We'll forget that. Shane says, Michael, there is still a Pizza Hut buffet at St Andrews near Campbelltown. Someone also said there was one at Windsor. There you go. Yanis says Bankstown Leagues has a good buffet, $38 on a Saturday. There's always a line. That sounds like good value. On maths, we were speaking about maths earlier, a lot of feedback about that. Jeanette says, 30 years ago, my son was among a small group of students at his school who took 4-unit maths. None of that class, though, wanted to be teachers. She said, I could see what was going to happen in the future many years ago. That's from Janet. Yeah, well, I guess if you're really, really bright at maths and there's some high-paying jobs and career prospects that want you, you're in high demand, then unless you have an extraordinary passion, you're not going to go into teaching for $130,000, right? You're going to go and work in the mining industry or whatever, and you're going to get $400,000. So that's just the reality of the situation. I guess that's why it's tough to recruit the numbers of maths and science teachers that we obviously need going forward. Jason says, not so sure about Sydney, but I do a lot of travel in Singapore. The hotels in Singapore usually excel at the buffets. They cater for breakfast, all the cuisines, all the different ethnic groups. It's a bit like that at airports. You go to certain airport lounges, which the Prime Minister knows about this. You know, you go in there, and there tends to be a fair bit of variety. You can stop over tonight, they do a pretty good job. The one thing they don't do, notice that, always those sort of they got to be Christmas. Now, before we go, interesting story about have you been following the saga, the MV Ruby? The MV Ruby. Now, it's this giant boat, and it's a Russian-linked cargo ship. It's been dubbed in the British press the floating bomb because it's packed with explosive fertiliser. It's ammonium nitrate. It's the same thing that went up at the port of Beirut. It's got 7 times the amount on it, mind you. So it's a Maltese flag vessel. It's carrying 20,000 tonne of explosive fertiliser, ammonium nitrate. It's come from a port in northern Russia. As the UK Telegraph says, it was bound for the Canary Islands, but it was damaged in bad weather last month. And it's basically been in no man's land ever since, desperately trying to seek port. It needs repairs to its cracked hull and propeller. It was moved on from Tromsø in Norway, steered away from Danish waters. It then opted to moor 3 kilometres outside of British territory. Yeah, stuck the anchor down somewhere in the English Channel. And no one knew what to do with it. Anyway, it contains 7 times more explosives than the amount which caused the Beirut port blast in 2020. And this is a ship that's not in good stead. But it is now moored. They've made a decision. It's now been moored at Great Yarmouth in Norfolk. And the ammonium nitrate on board is expected to be moved to another vessel while repairs of the MV Ruby take place. Anyway, it was a saga that's ongoing, but it reminded me, I was meant to quite a while ago.
Let's find a new route.
September 27 this year by Tom Sharp in the same publication, the UK Telegraph, where he says, well, having a bomb, and technically that's what this could be, a bomb this size anchored on the UK raises another specter, he said, which should be addressed also, and it's even if it's got nothing to do with this current situation. He said, what if a similar ship was on routine passage headed for the Channel, English Channel,
turn left,
and then without warning turned into the Thames and increased to full ahead? How quickly would this transition from a routine shipping transit seen hundreds of times a day to a Home Office and Ministry of Defence critical threat? And then how quickly could a response happen?
Keep left,
that's an interesting thing to ponder. This isn't a problem, this situation they've got to deal with, but what if there were more nefarious actors at play? Our enemies are getting creative. Could they use shipping in the future?
Traffic for town can anywhere travel. Experts in luxury tours.
An early truck crash on Botany Road, Alexandria has brought down wires and it's closed the road between Burke Road and Mandeville Street. Southbound traffic on General Holmes Drive is slowing through Kiama. Smithfield, a bit of a pinch point still for Cumberland Highway drivers. M4 and M5 like them. Hume Highway, it does have a busy stretch getting through Liverpool, and the Harbour crossings are great. Stay Carline on your traffic leader, Sydney's 2GB.
For today's exclusive VIP Talc travel offer, book now
Caution,
with
please
Anywhere
mind
Travel
speed.
on 1300 130 464.
Drive with Chris O'Keefe.
G'day Sydney, what a lovely Wednesday
Wednesday it is. Imagine your wife or you in labour about to give birth. You go to your local hospital and they turn you away because there are not enough staff. That is what is happening at Tamworth, Armidale. Big hospitals all throughout our Central West. It is a disgrace. I'll speak to the Health Minister. I've also got 5 tickets to the Golden Eagle at Rose Hill this Saturday. A double pass to see Cliff Richard in concert. Of course, the Jewel for Fuel. I'll chat to you soon.
3 p.m. weekdays on Sydney's GB.
And then does your super give you strong performance? Or is it on autopilot to average? Switch on to Colonial First Aid, not your average super fund. Past performance is no indicator of future performance. Issued by Avantios Investments Limited. Consider the PDS and TMD at cfs.com.au to see if it's right for you.
Imagine waking up to lush golf course views, elegant interiors, and a luxury lifestyle designed just for you. Welcome to Watermark Residences, premier retirement living on the greens of the Chatswood Golf Course. With completion early 2025 and a display apartment now open for inspection, there's never been a better time to secure your new home. Residences are selling fast. Search watermarkresidences.com.au. Watermark Residences, where luxury retirement living comes to life.
9 News is your news. Join the 9 News team at 6 p.m. for the stories that matter to you. Made in our city, for our city. And don't worry, you won't miss the news. Start over on 9 now as soon as you're home.
You've heard us talk about the incredible work that your local club does in your local community, and here are a few more examples. Castle Hill RSL has donated $15,000 to the Hills Relay for Life, raising money for the Cancer Council. And Club Central Menai has given $16,000 to Beyond the Badge to fund the Career Transition Program for first responders. Well done, Club Central Menai and Castle Hill RSL. Local clubs supporting local communities.
Bladder leaks? Depend Real Fit is the most comfortable leak-proof underwear. Depend is underwear you can exercise, road trip, and even shop till you drop in. With up to 12 hours leak-proof protection, Depend Real Fit is underwear you can depend on.
Amber has the answer this spring with unbeatable savings like travertine pavers $69, limestone pavers $59, porcelain pavers $49, or concrete pavers just $9 each. Hurry, in-store or online.
Amber has the answer. Imagine waking up to lush golf course views, elegant interiors, and a luxury lifestyle designed just for you. Welcome to Watermark Residences, premier retirement living on the greens of the Chatswood Golf Course. With completion early 2025 and a display apartment now open for inspection, there's never been a better time to secure your new home. Residences are selling fast. Search watermarkresidences.com.au. Watermark Residences, where luxury retirement living comes to life.
Afternoons thanks to Save. Analyse your electricity bill and scan the market for the best deal for you. Guaranteed. SAIVE.com.au.
Just before we go, Sylvia says, what was the Neil Sedaka song you played yesterday? It was Star-Crossed Lovers. Sylvia, Star-Crossed Lovers. Glad you enjoyed it. Chris is next with Drive. Catch you tomorrow.
Save on hundreds of business essentials with Officeworks for Business. Exclusions apply. Sydney's to GB 873.
In this bulletin, when will we see a rate cut, relief for blackout-hit communities, and a huge blow for the Rabbitohs? It's 3 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Rhiannon Solomon-Aaron. Economists are not convinced interest rates are coming down anytime soon, despite a slower inflation rate. Consumer prices grew by 2.8% for the year to September, which is 1% lower than the previous reading. But much of the improvement has been driven by the government's energy rebate and lower petrol prices. Independent analyst Evan Lucas says we've still got a long way to go before inflation is really in check.
If you take out the government subsidies out of energy, which is now contracting by, we use it at a base of 100, it's now down to 78. But if you take out the government subsidies, it jumps back up to 116. So sometime in the future, the government is going to have to stop paying for our energy prices. Whenever that happens, geez, it's going to hurt inflation.
A decision not to investigate 6 officials over robo-debt is being reconsidered. The National Anti-Corruption Commission was criticised for not pursuing the group, which had been referred to it by the Royal Commission into the Bunker scheme. An independent eminent person will now be appointed to reassess that decision. Communities in the state's far west will be
don't want the weight of responsibility of a person offending on bail to rest with them.
Also making news, ING says it's still working to resolve disruptions to its app and website, with the bank apologising for the inconvenience. And the state's annual car safety guide has been released, and it shows there's a widening gap between a safe vehicle and an unsafe one. To finance, your Lords trading down 62 points, the Aussie dollar buying 65 US cents.
Listen live, catch up, grab the highlights, enter to win. No matter where you are, you can do it all with the 2GB app.
A massive blow for incoming Rabbitohs coach Wayne Bennett. Captain Cameron Murray is set to miss the entire pre-season with a wrist injury. Murray suffered the injury while in camp with the Kangaroos, meaning he'll have to sit out next week's Pacific Championships final. The Telegraph reports he'll be out of action for 5 months. Baseball's World Series is still alive after the Yankees beat the Dodgers 11-4 in Game 4. The win sealed in the 8th inning, sending the New York crowd into a frenzy.
Torres, right field. And that'll just about cinch it. We're going to have a Game 5 in this World Series.
That audio courtesy of Fox Sports. The Dodgers lead the 7-game series 3-1 going into tomorrow morning's Game 5. That's sport. I'm Adam Laws.
It's 3:04. That's the latest news and sport.
When our daughter Ava was ill, it was Little Wings who flew her to Sydney for the urgent medical care she needed.
The Club Grants program contributed over $600,000 last year to Little Wings, helping children get the care they needed. They are one of 9,050 community organisations who shared $121 million in funding in the last year.
Go straight on.
All made possible by your local club.
Traffic, your favourite station, sounds even better on the new 2GB app.
The M7 at Dean Park has a north-facing bus breakdown. An earlier truck crash on Botany Road, Alexandria, well, it's got the road closed between Burke Road and Mandible Street. General Holmes Drive heading south's less than impressive. And heading to the M4, you've got St Heliers Road busy north at Auburn. Coming the other way, Silverwater Road's slowing southbound. And Centenary Drive, south past Sydney Markets, is building. I'm Steve Carline on Sydney's 2GB.
Great things are happening every minute on NBN.
At 6:01 a.m, you're on a video call for your cybersecurity startup with people on the other side of the country.
At 12:37 p.m, you're in a live lecture learning about smart farming for your agricultural degree.
And at 8:48 p.m, you're battling zombies online with people in Spain, Mexico, and Canada.
What great thing will you do next with NBN?
Get ready.
NRMA Insurance. We're responding to the growing severity and frequency of floods, fires, high winds, and hail events by establishing Help Nation, a countrywide initiative to help get people and communities prepared for extreme weather. We'll be showing people how to manage the unique risks in their area and how to ensure they're ready should the worst happen. Because that's what a help company would do. To find out how you can get prepared, go to nrma.com.au/helpnation. NRMA Insurance, a help company.
2GB weather brought to you by NRMA Insurance, a help company.
Mostly sunny this afternoon, northeasterly winds 20 to 30 kilometres an hour. Showers tomorrow with a chance of a storm, 15 to 25 degrees in the city, 11 to 31 in the west. Further ahead, a shower or two Friday and Saturday, mostly sunny on Sunday. Right now in the city, it's 23 degrees, it's 26 in Bankstown, 28 in Campbelltown. I'm Rhiannon Solomon Marin. There'll be more news at 3:30 on your news leader, Sydney's 2GB.
Keep flat.
On Sydney's 2GB, this is Drive with Chris O'Keefe.
Good afternoon, Sydney. It's a lovely day, isn't it? Another lovely spring day in the harbour city. Make sure you get out and enjoy it. I've got a lot to get through this afternoon. And what about this? Hospitals in Tamworth, Narrabri, Armidale that are saying no to mothers that are in labour. Why? Well, their claim is they haven't got enough midwives, and some mums are being told to drive 400 kilometres to give birth.
I'll find a
It
new
is
route.
outrageous. I'll speak to the Health Minister, Ryan Park, on this one. And what do you think about a bullet train from Parramatta to Newcastle rather than from Central Station? Because Parramatta Council wants to base any very fast train that heads north in our west rather than our east. Do you think that's a good idea? And if your retag has stopped working, if it's run out of battery or whatever, you could be charged hidden fees that can quickly rack up on our tollways right around Sydney. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars. How do you stop it? I've got 5 tickets to the Golden Eagle at Rose Hill. Members tickets too to give away for Saturday. 2 more tickets to Cliff Richard. And of course, we'll play the Duel for Fuel right now. 23 degrees at Helensburgh and 29 at Dundas Valley. It's 3:30. 131 873 is the open line number. You can text me 0460 873 873 or our email address, of course, drive@2gb.com. Well, a little bit of good news today. Inflation has dropped to its lowest level in nearly 4 years. So the headline data out of the Australian Bureau of Statistics has annual inflation at just 2.8%, down a whole percentage point from 3.8%. So that is the lowest it has been since 2021. And what it does mean is headline inflation is now within the Reserve Bank's target range. And look, economists say the figure is largely thanks to falling electricity prices. Those falling electricity prices, thanks to government welfare that ensures our electricity bills are a little cheaper, right? And Treasurer Jim Chalmers, he says, look, it's proof that cost of living pressures are easing on.
These new numbers show that inflation is at its lowest in almost 4 years. Inflation at 2.8% is the lowest in almost 4 years. We are making welcome and encouraging progress in the fight against inflation, but we know that Australians are still doing it tough. We are coming at this inflation challenge from every conceivable and every responsible angle, and our efforts are making a difference. And we can see that in today's new data. When we came to office, inflation was much higher and rising. Now it is substantially lower and falling.
Which is good news, whichever way you cut it. Now, underlying inflation is down too. That's what the RBA is looking at. It's still at 3.5%, so slightly above the target range. But look, it's good, isn't it? It's good. The monthly inflation number for September is down from 2.7 to 2.1. Good again. Look, we've got an RBA meeting next Tuesday, Melbourne Cup Day, so it will be interesting to see what they do. It's clear that nobody's expecting a rate hike or a rate cut, to be honest, but regardless, interest rates will come down at some point next year. When? Well, there's still a guessing game around that, but honestly, after everything we've been through over the last 2-3 years, with inflation up, interest rates up, this is one thing I think we can take a little bit of hope out of. 131 873. Now, we know that the New South Wales government made several planning changes this year in response to rising house prices. So building residential high-rise around railway stations is one of their solutions. And this is an interesting one. So Ku-ring-gai Council has been very vocal about the impact on big apartment towers on its local heritage. Think Gordon, think Linfield, think Kalara, places like that. Now, they are challenging the state government in the Lands and Environment Court on this planning decision. So Ku-ring-gai Council, though, in the background has come up with its own plan to preserve heritage buildings, and one of which is to build, get this, 25-storey apartments over Gordon Station and 45-storey buildings elsewhere. Now, it seems strange to me given some of these are over existing heritage sites. Well, Ku-ring-gai Councillor Martin Smith's had a fair bit to do with this, and he's on the line for us. Councillor, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris.
Can you just tell us, you've got Ku-ring-gai Council taking the Minns government to court on the transport-oriented development, the plans to build high-rise around train stations. And in the same breath, Ku-ring-gai Council develops plans to build high-rise around train stations. I don't know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Okay, put it, just to sort of put it in some sort of perspective, the New South Wales state government has listed the 4 stations that they've created, the transport-orientated developments, which is around 4 stations that between them is only 4.3 kilometres. They've now wanted us to, there was discussion whether or not we could come up with our own concept or plan or an alternate if we wanted to protect our heritage. We've unfortunately had to look at all different scenarios in the way that we could possibly protect the heritage. And one of council, we are trying to protect and preserve what Ku-ring-gai is known for. It's known for its trees, it's known for its heritage. And in this particular plan, over 4.3 kilometres, 23,000 dwellings, we're going to knock out most in that corridor. So that's the reason why we take to court. And at the same time, we're being proactive in being on the front foot and looking at what the alternates are after the court action.
Okay. So do you, in your heart of hearts, believe that 25 to 45-storey buildings over Gordon Station is protecting heritage?
I believe that the one that scenario you're referring to is what we call preserve and intensify. And again, this is to go out to our community to show them what we would have to do if we were to try and protect 23 heritage conservation areas along those areas. So what it would actually do is limit it to one particular area, which Gordon's our main town centre, and preserve much of it along the other three railway stations.
Is it not are you still proposing a 400-metre radius around Gordon Station or not?
On that particular one that you're talking about, in preserve and intensify, yes, it was a 400, and yes, I agree with you, it would look like something like a Gold Coast, and we better speak to the airport about mapping aeroplanes around it.
So you're not necessarily, so what you're saying is you're not necessarily supporting this, because look, I understand what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, look, we've got nice suburbs here, low-rise houses. They've been here for a long time. Nice big blocks. We've got trees. Nice part of the world, right? Leafy North Shore. It's a leafy North Shore for a reason.
100%.
What I'm asking is 45-storey buildings at Gordon Station, either under the Min's plan or Ku-ring-gai Council's plan, is not the leafy North Shore anymore.
No, it would be the Gold Coast North Shore.
So why are you proposing it?
Well, we've actually gone to our planners who actually sit down and give us all the alternates, which gets put before the council this evening, where we make a decision on what goes out to the community for public consultation. We've looked at all, and there was different scenarios where we go out further to 800 metres, where it's less, obviously a lot less, intensifying it. We're dropping the floor heights. We're looking at all different scenarios to abide by this ridiculous blunt planning instrument that the Min's government has landed on Ku-ring-gai, which is very political. We've been the LGA area that out of all the councils that's been hit the hardest, and we haven't been missed because we are in a liberal conservative area.
You're the only one fighting it. Councillor, I appreciate you coming on. Keep us updated with how council meeting goes tonight, okay?
Happy to do. Thank you.
That's Councillor Martin Smith from Ku-ring-gai Council. You know, if the Min's government's got a plan for 45-storey buildings, 400 metres around train stations, and Ku-ring-gai Council proposes exactly the same thing, yet your rates are being spent taking the first option to court, it seems a very strange way of doing business. Regardless, they'll have an outcome tonight.
Live, local, and only on 2GB. It's Drive with Chris O'Keefe.
It's 16 past 3 now. Have you gotten used to paying sort of $500 for a 55-inch TV compared to the tens of thousands it used to cost in the 1990s? What about a suit? You used to pay, remember, $3,000 for a suit sort of in the 80s and 90s. And now you can get pretty much the same quality for a third of that. And these reductions in prices are largely due to global markets, but also a drop in tariffs.
Caution,
so when you
please
get
mind
increased
speed.
competition and the efficiencies of international trade, on the whole, Australians have had access to cheaper stuff as a result. But there is without question a lurch back to protectionism. And a potential Trump presidency could see more tariffs. Now, whether Australia is hit with more tariffs remains to be seen, but Donald Trump says he loves tariffs, absolutely loves them. So, can we really expect Australia to be immune this time round? I noticed the chairman of BHP, Ken McKenzie, warned that there is a new wave of protectionism threatening
Caution, please mind
global
speed.
trade. But ultimately, isn't the United States just looking after themselves? Numero uno, number one. Because if the US lumps tariffs on Australia's exports, or China's exports, or whoever, then those products are less lucrative when they land in the US market. There will be fewer jobs in Australia and China, less of the product sold, because all of a sudden it's a hell of a lot more expensive. But it's pretty basic logic. The US, by slapping tariffs on imports, gives their own tariff regime here in Australia compared to China, Japan, Europe and the rest of it. Well, are we doing a disservice to our industry if local producers are struggling to fairly compete against imports? So to level the playing field, the proposal is for a floating tariff regime that would impose a 1 to 5% import tax depending on the strength of the dollar. But with a market as small as Australia, wouldn't just some importers just stop bothering sending stuff here? I'm wondering, can Australia really wage a trade war with the size of our market? Plus, a modest tariff like 5%, it could lead to increases in the price of imported goods. That $500 TV could increase to $525, a $100 shirt to $105. But what do we have here? Like, what levers can Australia pull to protect our own industry and fight an inevitable trade war that looks like may be coming our way? We might not be directly engaged in it, but some of our allies and serious trading partners might be. Now, President Trump, we're hoping, just leaves Australia out of any tariff program. But the truth is we do not have the market power to wage a trade war. We are heavily reliant on exports, especially iron ore, coal and agricultural products. And ultimately, we need overseas markets more than they need us. So 131873, are we concerned about a massive tariff regime that could be implemented under a Trump presidency? Because it looks like things are tracking that way, that Donald Trump will become President of the United States yet again. I listened to his interview with Joe Rogan on that podcast, and he said he wants to cut income tax in the United States. So where's he going to raise the revenue? Tariffs. The stuff that we try to sell in the United States will be taxed to the eyeballs. Can Australia afford that? Call me, 131873. It's 21 past 3.
Traffic. Fuel your adventures at Subaru's October event. Visit your Subaru retailer today.
A north-facing bus breakdown on the M7 at Dean Park at Richmond Road. We've got a section of Botany Road, Alexandria, closed between Burke Road and Mandible Street. Cumberland Highway, I like it for the main, but it's just Smithfield lets the team down. And there's some patchy King George's Road traffic, particularly around Wiley Park and Beverly Hills, and the Princess Highway slowing at Arncliffe and Rondale. I'm Steve Carmine with live local traffic.
The Subaru Demonstrator event ends October 31. Get a $750 fuel card free across selected demonstrator models. T's and C's apply.
40 km/h school zones are now in force. Save on a range of plants, pots and homewares at Flower Power Spring Sale shopping store or flowerpower.com.au.
Rebecca says yes, a trade war with the USA, Disney, Macca's and big companies. Make Macca's too expensive, Rebecca. 131873. One of the secrets to ageing well is eating well. But unfortunately, many older Australians struggle to prepare healthy meals in their own home. And that's why Light and Easy has partnered with home care package providers to make it easier and more affordable for seniors to eat well. In fact, home care package recipients could save 70% off the cost of their Light and Easy meals. And Light and Easy has also created a delicious new range of meals called My Choice. It includes dinners, soups, desserts, which have all been specifically designed to meet the nutritional needs of all seniors with smaller appetites. So if you or someone you care for could benefit from Light and Easy's award-winning healthy meal delivery service, visit lighteneasy.com.au. That's lighteasy.com.au or call them 13 15 12.
The United Cup is tennis. Turn up. Women and men unite. Nation versus nation. Live and loud as Sydney's Canberra Hall Arena. On sale now at Ticketmaster. Adults from $40.
Want to download fuel savings? Get the My 7-Eleven app. Lock in our best local fuel price for up to 7 days, and you could save up to 25 cents per litre. You've got a deal at 7-Eleven. T's and C's apply. Savings not guaranteed. Visit 711.com.au for details. Imagine stepping into retirement with confidence. That's strong and steady. Picture having access to award-winning investments. That's strong and steady. Think of nearly 50 years of global investment expertise supporting your financial future. That's strong and steady. Making the smart choice with Vanguard. Now that's strong and steady. Products issued by Vanguard Investments
with Unibet. Enjoy market-leading odds, products and promotions every weekend, like Best Road Exotics, Easy Form and more. Unibet, your place to bet this spring racing carnival. Bet now with the Unibet app or at unibet.com.au.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Get into our November spring with incredible offers like designer indoor and outdoor floor and wall tiles just $24.95. White wall tiles at crazy $14.95. Or marble mosaics just $11.95 each. Hurry, in-store or online.
In 50 metres, turn right to Darlinghurst for homes just a short walk to the CBD.
Turn right.
Or turn left towards Greenacre for homes with a long walk from the bedroom to the kitchen. Search suburban sites on Domain. Know what we know.
I'll be right, Sean. The Subaru October demonstrator event is now on, and your next adventure is within reach with a $750 fuel card free across selected demonstrator models. Subaru for a world discovered. T's and C's apply.
You're listening to 2GB for preservative-free relief of dry eyes with no blurring. Swap your drops to the silky smooth feel of Nova Tears. Always read the label and follow the directions for use.
It's coming up to 25 past 3. 131873 is our open line number. Now, don't forget, I've got double passes to see Cliff Richard live at the State Theatre. It's for his Can't Stop Me Now tour. Beautiful bit of orchestral before Cliff rips into it. So if you want to win the tickets, I want to hear your best concert story. We'll give you the cue to call a little later in the program, but we did it yesterday. So what is the lengths that you've gone to see your favourite artist? It doesn't have to be about Cliff Richard. It can be about anything. Any great stories, the more colourful, the more creative, the better. There are 2 tickets coming your way for the Can't Stop Me Now tour November next year. He's live at the State Theatre. Don't forget, you're not going to want to miss this one. You've got to keep listening. The cue to call later in the program.
If it's happening in Sydney, you'll hear it on Drive on 2GB.
Well, customers of ING Australia are facing major disruptions today with the bank's website and app going offline for several hours. So nearly 1,300 people had reported being unable to access their ING accounts. And in a statement, ING said that they were urgently working to resolve the issue, and there has been delays in payments. Of course, customers are being frustrated. So look, you can't transfer funds, pay bills, buy essentials. ING Australia, major disruption. So they're trying to resolve that ASAP. 131873. Now, I don't like to talk about ray gun very much. You know my view on ray gun. I don't think the Olympics is the place where you quote unquote have a go. I think you've got to be at the top of your game if you're going to the Olympics. Anyway, little story about Ray Gun. So Rachel Gunn is her name. Of course, her nickname, Ray Gun. She tried to trademark it because she wanted to sell some products and services, clothing, entertainment, all branded Ray Gun, right? She's gone to trademark it. She filed the application August 23 with the Australian Trademarks Office, and they've said, rejected. Now, the rejection stems from conflicts with existing trademarks. So, somebody has already trademarked Ray Gun. Ray Gun Limited exists, and that was trademarked back in July of 2017 and officially registered in 2019. So, it's uncertain whether she'll continue her pursuit of the legal ownership of Ray Gun name, but maybe Ray Gun Limited if they want to reach lofty heights in the business world. They probably don't need Ray Gun and her very ordinary performance at the Olympic Games for Australia on their CV, right? You don't want to get the two mixed up, because success and Ray Gun certainly don't go hand in hand. Paul's at Illawong. Hello, Paul.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm good, mate. You want to talk about the council situation?
Yeah, I don't normally agree with the Northern NIMBY, as we call them, but I can see why they seem like active development. I mean, are we addressing why we need so much housing? Why we've got something high-rise everywhere? I mean, it's hard for anyone to solve.
Yeah, I agree with you, Paul. And look, you know, we all agree we need more housing supply, but Oh, g'day, Peter.
Oh, g'day, Chris. How are you?
Thanks, mate.
I think everyone's panicking and pushing out some scaremongering, saying, oh, God,
Keep right, and then exit right.
Firstly, wait for the president to serve. But look, I think there's a friend of Australia, Australian people, probably not a friend of
Exit
ours,
right.
but certainly of the Australian people. And I take the point.
Keep right, and then turn right.
Was launched on the 1st of January 2000.
Turn right.
From 1989 up until that time, I used to import steel equipment from the US. And we had a 25% import duty into Australia. And yet people were still buying it. Most expensive, that's why it's not cheaper now. And I doubt the bills will bring back in. It's a two-way street. You know, they
At
want
the
to sell stuff to
roundabout,
us,
take
we
the
want to
first
sell stuff to them. So it's highly unlikely.
I agree. Look, I hope you're right, Peter, and it didn't happen last time because Malcolm Turnbull and the Trump whisperer, Joe Hockey, as our ambassador, managed to talk him down from the position, but he's been very vocal about tariffs. And look, I'm not anti-Trump by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think there's all that much to be scared of if he gets back in, to be honest. But Peter, my view is that Australia, when it comes to trade wars, because I've just had a couple of people raise it with me since Donald Trump's been talking about the tariffs. Well, why can't Australia go back and do the same thing? Well, we could. The problem is we're a smaller market and we need them more than they need us. You there, Peter?
It's all over now.
Yes, mate, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think it's mainly referring to China. China's his number one target because it's very much a one-way street with them, as you can imagine. And I think little old Australia, if they just continue on with the agreement we've already got, I think it's highly, highly unlikely.
Well, I hope you're right. Good on you, Pete. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your insight. 131873.
A news update. SumUp is a payment partner that ups the ante in terms of payments directly into your bank account. Available now at Harvey Norman.
In the newsroom, Rhiannon Solomon Marin. G'day.
G'day, Chris. Inflation is now within the Reserve Bank's target range, with the latest figures showing consumer prices rose 2.8% for the year to September. The University of Sydney says it's deeply disappointed by the behaviour of students at St Paul's College following a bullying incident. 6 men have been expelled and 21 bystanders suspended. Kamala Harris has delivered one of her last major speeches of the US election campaign, speaking to supporters in the same location Donald Trump spoke at ahead of the January 6 riots. And police have recovered more than 40,000 limited edition Bluey coins. 3 people are before the courts after 63,000 of the collectibles were stolen from a Sydney warehouse in July. In sport, it's been a slow start to life for the Utah Jazz for Aussie NBA star Patty Mills. He went scoreless in a 113-96 loss to the Sacramento Kings. The Jazz have lost 4 from 4 to start the season. And Chris, there'll be more news at 4.
Thank you, Ree. 131873, that open line number. Now, you know that I'm extremely sceptical about bullet trains in Australia. I don't think it will happen. However, the Very Fast or the High Speed Rail Authority has been established. They've got $500 million in our money trying to push for one to go from Sydney to Newcastle. Now, could that be achievable? Well, Parramatta Council says, well, forget it going from Central Station. More people live west of Parramatta, so why shouldn't the bullet train go from Parramatta to Newcastle? Maybe he's onto something. I'll speak to the man next.
Traffic for spinaleze.com.au, the world's best premium supportive pillow.
There's a crash on Richmond Road, Marsden Park. At first glance, I'm going to say it's near South Creek Bridge. Dean Park, the M7 at Richmond Road again. It's hosting a north-facing bus breakdown. And there's a section of Botany Road closed at Alexandria. It's between Burke Road and Mandible Street. General Holmes Drive straddling south towards Brighton and Sands, and Centenary Drive busy south of DFO. I'm Steve Carmine on Sydney's 2GB.
Suffering from headaches, sore neck or snoring? The solution could be the world's best premium supportive Spinalese pillow. Order now at spinaleze.com.au.
Well, for over 26 years, RSVP has been helping Australians find love. Are they going to help you too? If you found yourself single for the first time in years or decades, and you don't want to waste your time sifting through thousands of profiles, you can make a date with RSVP. RSVP matches go beyond superficial swiping. With RSVP's powerful search feature, you can choose the type of relationship you're looking for, your preferences in a partner, your interests or hobbies, and so much more. RSVP filters out daters who aren't suitable and handpicks matches that are perfectly suited to you. So download the app or visit rsvp.com.au and discover the difference with Australia's most trusted datings.
Introducing Officeworks for Business. Sign up for a business account to save 5% on hundreds of essentials plus free standard metro delivery over $65. With over 170 stores, we're there when you need us. Search Officeworks for Business. Exclusions apply.
40 weeks spring sale. Save on top quality mattresses and adjustable bases. 50% off when you spend over $4,999. 40% off over $2,999. And 30% off over $14,999. Sale ends Sunday. Terms and conditions apply. 40 Winks. Serious about sleep.
At Swim Mart, we make pool care easy with a great range of top quality products, amazing service and expert advice you can trust. Visit your local Swim Mart today.
Swim
Boom. Noun, meaning a loud, deep, resonant sound, as in the deep boom of the bass drum. But if you're a Sydney-sider, boom might be a bit more synonymous with boom.
It's Con again to let you know at DD's we have something for every occasion. From casual food and events to signature dining experiences, no matter what you're after, there's food and views that will have you saying boom. Visit tdsgroup.com.au and book your table today.
Ugh, raining. I shouldn't have walked to work today.
Okay, drop off done. Probably should head to the shops.
I'm already running late. I'll just cross here.
Green light ahead. She's seen me. She'll wait.
Slow traffic. They'll let me through.
You can't know what others are thinking. Be aware. Drive with care. A message from the New South Wales government.
But where are we thinking for our same rates multi?
Let's see. With Ladbrokes, we can place one at Moonee Valley, Randwick, Caulfield, Flemington.
Own the Group 1 action this spring racing carnival with a Ladbrokes same race multi. T's and C's apply. See website for details. Chances are you're about to lose.
Amber has the answer this spring with unbeatable savings like travertine pavers $69, limestone pavers $59, porcelain pavers $49, or concrete pavers just $9 each. Hurry, in-store or online.
Amber has the answer.
Live on 2GB. Great things are happening every minute on NBN. With lightning fast speeds, you can turbocharge your online life.
2044. Now, you know my thoughts on a high-speed rail in Australia. I don't think it will not only just not work, I just don't think it will ever happen. But the new Lord Mayor of Parramatta, he says if it is going to happen, you've got to bring it to Parramatta. So Lord Mayor Martin Zayton, he wants to bring the Big Apple to Western Sydney with a New York-style Grand Central Station right in the guts of Parramatta for the bullet train to stop at. So under the federal government's current proposal for a high-speed train, it would connect Newcastle to Central Station via the Central Coast. So you'll have stops at Parramatta and the new Western Sydney Airport are not on the plans yet. But the Lord Mayor wants these areas to be prioritised because by 2050, the city of Parramatta is expected to have a population of more than 500,000 people, with 150,000 new jobs too. So Martin Zayden, the Lord Mayor of Parramatta, is on the line for us. Lord Mayor, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon.
You and I both know a bullet train is still quite fanciful, don't we?
Well, do you know, Chris, if you go back to 2009 when the City of Parramatta actually started the conversation when it came to light rail, many people would have said the same thing. And now 15 years later, the opening of Parramatta light rail is imminent.
There's a big difference between a tram and a bullet train.
Well, then I'll give you another example. Look at the Sydney Metro, the one that's going to be built from Sydney to Parramatta. Again, I'm sure when the planning of this started many, many years ago, the same thing where people would have said it would never happen. I think that the fact that, as you mentioned earlier, $500 million has been put aside here for the establishment of a business case. Stations in Parramatta and the new Western Sydney Airport are critical in the first stage of the federal government's high-speed rail.
Okay, so why? Why Parramatta over traditionally Central Station in our eastern suburbs?
straight through the heart of Parramatta.
You know, they're talking about value capture. I had the chair of the High Speed Railway Authority on the program, and he said value capture would be something that they'd look at for whoever lives along the corridor. Are you happy for your value capture? It's just a tax. You're happy for the people of Parramatta to pay a tax to have the bullet train station there?
See, Chris, that's a conversation, I guess, with the federal government. We, as a council...
Not really, you're proposing it. So would you be, ultimately, if you hold it there and that's how they're going to fund the bullet train, would you be happy for your residents to pay that tax?
I have only been in this job for 2 weeks, Chris, and let me tell you, I'm not going to take a backward step on, I guess, these type of topics. And my job, and I make this very clear, to put both the state and federal government on notice that I'll be the strongest advocate that this council has seen for many years. The conversation needs to be had. If we are going to spend $500 million of taxpayers' money on a business case, we need to consider all options, and all of this has to be in the conversation.
Hey, Lord Mayor, you didn't answer my question. You might be the strongest advocate, but you're not strong at answering questions. Would you be happy for the residents of Parramatta to pay a tax to have the bullet train station there?
I will answer it saying that we need to consider the options to have this delivered, and all of this needs to be considered. If I'm not here...
What does that mean? Do you want the tax or not? Are you happy for the tax? You go, look, I'm cool with you. I'm cool with you advocating for I'm cool with you advocating for the train station in Parramatta. I think it makes perfect sense to at least look at it. But if that comes with a tax for your residents, are you okay with that?
I'm not here to make the top-note decisions. I'm here to make what is the tough decisions. And we need to consider all these options to see how we are better going to capture the economic possibilities that we have in Parramatta, but more importantly for Greater Sydney. And ultimately, if the initial stage 1 plan is going to have Parramatta exclusive, and if we're going to go down the path of having a tax, I guess the conversation needs to be had to consider what is going to be the end cost and how best do we service the delivery of the project.
So you just want Parramatta in the conversation, and it's a yes to the tax if that's what it is.
I'm not saying yes to the tax, but what I'm saying is, just like with everything else in life, we are, I guess, being taxed. I'm a tax specialist who, by I guess my job, I am an accountant, chartered accountant. I know exactly what you're talking about, Chris, but ultimately we need to deliver value. And if we're going to be delivering the value, we're going to better the lives of people in Parramatta. Everything needs to be a part of the conversation. Everything needs to be on the table.
All right, good luck. Good 4 years. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
That's Lord Mayor Martin Zeta, the new Mayor of Parramatta City Council, 131873. Do you live in the Parramatta LGA? Do you want a bullet train station that goes to Newcastle via the Central Coast? And would you be happy to pay a tax as part of the plan to fund it to have that train station, the bullet train there in your area? Would you be happy to do it? 131873.
Traffic for Talc and anywhere travel. Experts in luxury tours.
A truck and car have crashed on Church Street, Parramatta. Lane one's out of action southbound. Also a crash Richmond Road, Marsden Park, up from Heritage Road. That's affecting traffic in both directions. A broken down tipper on Blackstone Road at Eastwood. And forget about Botany Road, Alexandria. A section between Burke Road and Mansell Street remains closed. And the M5's off to a slow start from the airport to the Cooks River Tunnel. I'm Steve Carline, 2GB.
For today's exclusive VIP Talc travel offer, book now with Anywhere Travel on 1300 130 464.
Get into Amber this spring with incredible offers like designer indoor and outdoor floor and wall tiles just $24.95. White wall tiles at crazy $14.95. Or marble mosaics just $11.95 each. Hurry, in-store or online.
Alright now. Hold still.
This is the sound of an unnecessary bowl cut.
Whoa, wait. Check money plan. No need to trim the budget that much.
Phew. There's better tools to help you budget, like Money Plan in the CommBank app. One of many simple tools from CommBank to help manage your money. And they just won CanStar's Bank of the Year award for Best Digital Banking for the 15th year in a row. Conditions apply when using the CommBank app.
Get the most out of summer. Now is the time to get your pool ready and in shape for the swimming season. Head to your local swim mart for a free water test and get the peace of mind that your pool is healthy for
any task, Mazda BT50 is ready to go. Take on work or play with the powerful BT50 XT 4x4 dual cab manual from $49,990 ABN drive away, or the BT50 SP 4x4 dual cab auto now from $64,670 ABN drive away. Customise your BT50 and make it your own. Visit your local dealer and drive away today.
Exit right.
Terms, conditions and exclusions apply. See Mazda.com.au for details.
You're listening to 2GB. Give your immune system a boost. This spring, Hypo sachets available from health stores and leading pharmacies. Please read the label and follow the directions for use.
It's 14 minutes to 4, 131873, the open line number. Mark on the text line has just told us about something. So there's a couple of black Toyota Land Cruisers and utes with canopies and a blue and white checkered bands and blue and red lights hurling up the M2 just near Epping going west. So that's from Marcus. So black Toyota Land Cruisers and some utes, clearly police utes, blue and red lights,
Here we are.
hurtling up
Safe
the
and
M2
sound.
just near Epping going west. If you see anything like that, please call me 131873. Looks like another convoy of police, some marked, some unmarked, heading up the M2. We've spoken to the New South Wales Police about it. They don't have a whole lot of information because when it is moving like that, it's very difficult for the police to pinpoint exactly where the job is, given that that is where the police are going to the job. So if we see them on motorways, that sort of thing, it is hard for our sources within the New South Wales Police Media Unit to tell us exactly what is going on. But when we can pinpoint a location, we usually get a whole lot further. 131873. Now, I don't know if you've seen this story, but I think he's a perennial pest, this guy. So he's a former star of Married at First Sight, and his name is Nasser Sultan, and he was on Married at First Sight, well, many years ago now. But he has now admitted he just wants to be in the limelight so badly. And Nasser Sultan has admitted to staging a fake relationship with a bloke 30 years his junior just to keep his name in the media after he finished up on Married at First Sight. So this is a new book by radio producer Joshua Fox, and the